This captain secretly poured whiskey into his orange juice, yet somehow none of the 100-plus passengers on the plane noticed. After skillfully disposing of the bottle, he gulped down the spiked juice in one go, then returned to the cockpit and promptly fell into a deep sleep. This reckless behavior left the new co-pilot stunned, but the head flight attendant remained completely unfazed, stating that this wasn't the first time the captain had done this. Fortunately, the plane maintained a steady course, but just as they were preparing to land, disaster struck. The elevator malfunctioned suddenly, causing violent turbulence that terrified the passengers. Everyone was panicking, except for the captain, who had just woken up and remained surprisingly calm. He immediately instructed the head flight attendant to tell passengers to fasten their seatbelts, then took control of the aircraft himself. At this point, he realized the plane had lost control and was plummeting straight down. He urgently ordered the co-pilot to pull back on the control column, but no matter what they tried, the plane wouldn't climb. The captain promptly notified the tower of their emergency status. To slow their descent, the captain decisively released fuel to reduce the aircraft's weight. He then ordered the co-pilot to lower the landing gear in preparation for an emergency landing. However, the plane continued its vertical drop, making a conventional emergency landing virtually impossible. While the captain was desperately trying to find a solution, the overhead compartments in the cabin suddenly flew open. A flight attendant immediately rushed to close them, but a violent jolt knocked her unconscious on the spot. Meanwhile, the plane continued its rapid descent, with buildings on the ground now clearly visible. They were headed straight for a densely populated area. To avoid the crowds, the captain made a bold decision, quickly changing the plane's direction and gradually tilting the aircraft. Incredibly, the captain planned to invert the plane completely. With perfect coordination from the co-pilot and head flight attendant, the aircraft actually flipped over, successfully halting its downward trajectory. However, the crisis wasn't over yet. Having released fuel and with engine failure, the plane couldn't reach the airport. The captain had to make a split-second decision to attempt an emergency landing in a nearby open space. Unfortunately, a church stood in that very clearing, with a group of people conducting a ceremony below. As the plane was about to crash into the church, the captain used every ounce of strength to control its direction, but the wings still inevitably struck the building. Then the aircraft hit the ground. Miraculously, 96 of the 102 people on board survived. The media extensively covered the incident, hailing the captain as a national hero, yet he felt deeply troubled inside. Therefore, upon returning home after being discharged from the hospital, he poured out all the alcohol in his house. However, trouble still found its way to his door. The lawyer informed the captain that the hospital had found dangerously high levels of alcohol in his blood, raising suspicions that he had been flying under the influence. If it was discovered that the passenger deaths resulted from the captain's intoxication while flying, he would face 150 years in prison. Hearing this, the captain instantly broke out in a cold sweat.